Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this live session for Agency Handy. I'm joined by Karan from Rocket Hub and Rashik from Agency Handy. So I'll throw it over to you guys. Let's get the ball moving.
Hey everyone, loud eggheads as we call everyone here. So everyone, eggheads, how are you? Hope you're doing good. Good morning, good evening to everyone. So today we are co-hosting. This is for the first time. Rocket Up has co-hosted with one of our favorite partners, Joe. We love him so much. Thanks, Joe, for the opportunity to have agency handy and Rocket Up at rest in the Outec community. It's good to have everyone here. And Rashik, welcome to the stream. And let's begin. Yeah, let's go and start by introducing yourself, the agency handy team, and background. How did it all start, and why did you kind of go into the agency world in the first place?
Yeah, thank you everyone for hosting this wonderful event as well. So I'm Rashik. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Agency Handy. So Agency Handy, in its all honesty, is I would say a good mixture of uh of a team that has the expertise to build the product out, but if in all honesty, we also have paying customers within our founding team as well. So the founding team is basically a mixture of product people and a few of agency owners. So we have I mainly look after a bit of product side of things and mostly customer. I have also have a CTO who looks after the tech side of things. We have a development team, but we also have partners who have been doing this agency work for last 10, 12 years. So we have experience all across the board. And this is why sort of the idea came about because I have a different product called OneThread. So it was more on a project management space. When I talked to like 40, 50 or global agencies, I realized there was a pain point that was sort of getting ignored by a lot of this, because market is so much dominated by your ClickUps and Notions and Asana and whatnot. Then I came across a few of my founders who have been agency owners for a long, long time. And that is when we shared ideas, it sort of makes sense. And this is where it all sort of started making sense. This idea and this is how we started off agency. And yeah.
That's awesome. I think we already discussed before, but how did you came up with the name Agency Handy? Or I think this was one of the best one available out there because the name is really handy. No pun intended, but it's one of the good names I've heard since a long time. Because whenever we meet SaaS founders, they have some weird names. Even if you see on AppSumo, you see everywhere it ends with RR and stuff like that. But you had something good, so that I think that's amazing.
Good name.
So yeah. So let's get into the meat, Rashik. Let's show the world, let's show the eggheads what Agency Handy is made up of, and let's go in depth to software. And we had a lot of updates when we were live, so that's amazing. We can even show people what we introduced new to the market. So let's go ahead and we can share your screen and get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, yeah, while I share my screen, just a bit on the name side of things. I think it took us around 3, 4 days because we were just looking at domains. Every name that we could possibly come up with, the domain was taken. The domain was taken, and I think one of our co-founders had a different product called Content Handy or something similar to that, had Handy in it. So that's why I said Agency Handy is a product. It sort of makes sense if you think about an AC and those sort of stuff. It helps you out a lot when it comes to product side of things.
Agreed.
So that is how
Agreed to
we
that.
came about it. But then because it was sort of like a placeholder name. The idea was that if we can find something better, we'll move on to it. Once we had a very very soft launch locally with 20, 30 odd agencies, people loved the name so much. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, it doesn't make sense to move away. So that is why it's called agency ID. So anyway,
Amazing.
let's uh, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sure. Great. So I'll give you a bit of brief about on a top level what agency Hindi is about. Then we'll break it down into smaller features and go through the details. So in its complete essence, the idea is fairly simple. You have a ton of services. Either you are a productized service or you're just running a digital agency. You have a lot of services that you pitch to your clients. Then clients choose something. They give you an order. You have to do a bunch of stuff to get that order done, and then you get paid even at start and the end of it. So and then once you have a few issues, you raise tickets and whatnot. So agency handling covers basically that whole of journey. So starting from listing all of your services, either linking them with your website, or even just sharing them with your clientele, getting orders from your clients, getting paid through a payment link. Once that order is there, break that order down into smaller tasks, assign your team members those tasks, set up deadlines, making sure you have back and forth with clients in order to get review for each of the tasks. So once client approves everything and everything gets done, order gets done. If it's more like you get paid at the end of month, you can send invoices. Sorry, you can send invoice at the beginning, at middle, at end, whatever, whenever you want, and then you can also get paid. If there are any issues or any other thing that raises, you can raise tickets and get all those information, raise those tickets, both from an agency side, but also from a client side as well. So that is in a rough, nutshell what agency handy does. So let's go into more into features. So the first bit is services. So in agency handy, you can list your services, right? It will look something like this. You can create your services. So the idea is that you put in your name, description, put in image, whether this is an recurring pricing or on one-time pricing. We have all the currencies you want. Then you put in a amount, duration. You create a service. It would look something like this. It would look something like this. Like you have all of your details and service details and everything, right? So the idea of this is you create all this. You create a service catalog. Next month we'll take it a bit up a notch. So what we'll do is we'll have services and we'll have add-ons. So it will help you even upsell your services to your potential clients as well. So some will be like just listed services, some will be listed as add-ons. So you can link those add-ons to services to upsell to your clients as well. So yeah, right now once you create a catalog, there are two things you can do with it. There are two ways you can basically share. One is you can basically copy this iframe and then just put it in your own website, or you can share the URL. So you can share the URL. If you just share the URL, this is what our catalog. Sorry, it's supposed to be awesome. Yeah,
Don't you love technology?
this I'm on a different network, canceling out. Yeah, I'm on a different Wi-Fi. It's sort of like protecting everything. There's yeah,
Yeah.
everything has been protected. Oh, let me just change my network a bit. Okay, I'll circle back to this once I go through all this. So basically, it gives you this catalog, but you get an option to purchase. I'll showcase that as well. At the end, I'll just switch network and we'll go through that. So you have all the services. You share it with your clients. They get an option to go through the purchase process. If they click on purchase, they go through the self checkout process. So this is one way of getting orders from for each of your services. The second way of getting orders is basically you do it manually by yourself. So that can be like, it's not like you're sharing a service. It might be like, you have got on a call, had a conversation, and everything was done. Then client said yeah, this is what we agree on. Once that is done, you have to do two things. So one is you have to create a client account first. So you put in the name, details, and email address. Right now, it sort of mandatorily sends an invite to them. We are giving you an option, I think, over the weekend or on Monday, that you'll get an option whether you want to send them an invite or not. It will be up to them. You can just create a client if you want, but you can also send the invoice. The reason I'll also showcase why this is important. So once you have created a client profile, right? Now you go into an order. So you have to create an order, right? You put in whatever the client is, you put in whatever that service is. If you have any manager who's going to be responsible, you can also do it. If there are any other details, you have start date, end date, and other stuff. So once that is done, you can just create an order. So this is how you can sort of create an order by yourself as well. So once you try to create an order, this is the next layer of information. So it is intake form. What do I mean by this? So intake form is basically a form that helps you get all the necessary data points that you would need at an agency from the clients to complete their order, right? So, for example, if you're a digital marketing agency and just saying, I'll do 20 creatives for you over a month. So you would probably need the logo, the brand guidelines, all the other necessary other details that you need, right? So what you can do here is you can come in here in forms. It's sort of like an all interlinked one to another. So what you can do is I'll just showcase from here a form like this. You can create multiple layers of forms. So we have all these different data points that you will want to see. We're also adding like a spreadsheet. I think it's testing right now. Spreadsheet component will be there. Spreadsheet is incredibly valuable for people who are especially in link building space. So we have all this different data points you can use. It's sort of like you can it's sort of like you can just pick and choose whichever data points you want to choose, and once you choose different data points, it'll just get added. So you can create your form. So it can look something like whatever you would want to see, whether you can make it a required field. If you want, you can add a supported text as well to give clients a reference of how you want this form to be filled. So once you create whatever that form looks like, you can even ask them to attach files and other stuff as well. You can link to certain services. So you have a form. It can be you just have one generic form that is applicable for all services. That's fine. It can be it it's absolutely crucial for every service to have a very unique index form. That's fine as well. Also, the other cases we have seen is mm, there is a general structure that's same for all services, but you need one or two specification. So in that case, we also let you copy fields form as well. So if you have this form, okay, fine, this is applicable for 10 other forms. You do that, and then you can just pick and choose, pick one of this, other of that, and then create your own forms, right? So you create an intake form that will have all the data points that you would need as an agency to complete that order, right? So uh, that's how once you try to create an order, the system will ask you for that intake form, right? So
So, so
this is
technically
yeah,
speaking, like that intake form is sent to the client, right? I mean, sent to the customer so you can have more information about the project. So it's kind of an
there are
onboarding
two
form.
ways you can do it. So one is yeah, in terms of onboarding, if you are doing through the self checkout form where you are purchasing a service, it will ask the client directly to fill that out, right?
Perfect, perfect.
If
Yeah.
you are doing it by yourself, yeah, by yourself, so this is how it will showcase here. So in that point, at that point of time, you're assuming that you have the data point to showcase. So once you put in all these necessary details, you will have your intake form ready. So I'll just put in some random data points, and let's just get this. Uh, so we have a order ready, right? So you get an order details with like all the necessary details, when it started, when it's end gonna end, and if you have other stuff, if you have any uh basic attachment to orders as well, some generic sort of files and everything you want to see, you can also attach it here. And then you have intake information, all the if you have a list of information, those list of information will be showcased here. So once you have an order, the next step is to break it down, right? So basically, you can create tasks. So it can be like you're doing an article, you're doing SEO optimized articles. So it's a, first article, you assign it to someone, you attach whatever files there is. Then you have start date, end date, and other stuff, right? So the last thing to know here is on this bottom on the bottom section, you can see that this says that this requires a client review. So what do I mean by this is I'll just show it here. Sorry. I'll just showcase here. So this is this network is like, why is this network so protected? I'm on a different Wi-Fi, uh, so the idea with like task and the idea with task is that uh, basically every task would be assume that not every task will require a client level review, right? So you might have 20 different tasks, not 20 of them would require a client level review. Not every one of them will require a client level review. So what we just give me 1 second, let me just fix this up and let me reshare this. uh, I will stop this. I just do it on incognito.
It's interesting now that robots are asking us if we're human in the
No, I think like I'm
AI
just on a
world.
different Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a different Wi-Fi. It's sort of I was just browsing Facebook and it was logging me out every time. I'm not sure. I think it has like it probably apart from a few specific like site, it has probably blocked like most other sites. It's like it's just like logging me out every time I'm trying to work.
Rabin says it takes some time to generate the SSL, guys. Chill. But we know, we got some hackers, in our comments probably that are
Yeah.
messing around with the internet connection.
No, I think yeah, we're good to go. So once we as I was saying, right? So everything might not require a client review. So what's the significance of that is? So if you say this requires a client review and we have a Kanban board basically, right? So anytime you move a task to review, that automatically triggers an email and a notification to the client saying that something requires a review. If not, the client won't see this task. So the idea behind this is you might do a few other sort of stuff on the background. You don't want that client to know. As an agency owner, you have that complete freedom to pick and choose whatever you want to choose, right? So uh, pick and choose whichever task you want the client to see or not, right? So within a task, this is what a task domain looks like. So you have your due date, what's the priority of the task, whether what's the status, who's this task assigned to. If you have any label, you can set up labels as well. You can attach files, it will show in attachment section. And the last thing is you have two common sections. One is within your team. So like it can be that I'm tagging someone in my team saying like this needs to be done. But I also have a client level communications folder. So it's more like once you get something done, you pitch something to a client saying like this done, okay fine, go through the review. Client won't be able to see the comment section for your team, but as your team member would be able to see the comment section of clients as well. So that is roughly how it works. We have two views right now. So one is a list view, one is a board view. So list view shows all the progress and everything. And almost all in all cases we have a customizable filter. So like in everything, assigning status, priority level, all those things are in 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 a filterable way, right? So and basically, all the tasks you do right now, we also have an option to export stuff as well. So if you want, you can just export stuff to Excel, and take it for from there. So yeah, that is how you create orders, forms. In forms, I think after this release, the next release we have order forms. So in order forms, basically will help you do a lot of stuff like upselling, link services to one other another service, basically group service, so that someone is buying this, they will also showcase people are also buying this as well. So you'll have that option to upsell to your clients significantly more, and that will be done through order form. Then we come to proposal. So basically, up until now, whatever I've shown you is basically people agreeing with that you have a service. Say you have a service that says, uh, I'm going to do 20 static posts this month, right? But you as a client might require 25. That is fair as well. You might require 25. So what you can do is you can basically go and and create a proposal. So you put in client name, service, who's the manager, then you sort of tweak whatever however you want it to tweak. We can just put in a bit of details that instead of 10 I want 20, instead of putting in price being like 100 bucks, I want the price to be like 150 bucks, something like this. And we are also adding a signature to it. Like, we have heard a lot of people saying like, signature is required because in order to make it sort of like a binding agreement, like that makes sense. Within our release next week, signature is also with spreadsheet signature is another thing that we are going to release next week as well. So
Awesome.
the way it works is once you create, send, and proposal can be sent both ways. So if you give an agency a, say a client, say like login for a client login, right? You have made a client login, you just give them an access, they have gone through all of your services, they can also create and send you a proposal. But as an agency, once you send a proposal, it will look something like this. uh, that you have sent a proposal, like who's the proposal from, when it was created, files, details, however much money. And right now we only have accept and reject. This is on the bottom. You'll also have an option to like go through an e-signature as well, just so that like when it becomes a binding contract, you can download stuff as well. If you accept, this turns into an order, right? So like whatever, with all the details that you've already given, it turns into an order and redirects you to that intake form. If that service has an intake form, redirects you to that intake form. So that is roughly proposal. Then you have tickets. The idea with tickets is fairly simple. I think, like it's very intuitive. Like if you have any issues that you'd want to be raised. So for example, you might be dealing with a client executive, right? But as a major issue as a client, and you want the attention of the founder, that's where you can raise a ticket saying like this is something that needs to be done. I really need this update. The like pro the view basically is pretty similar to a task as well. Again, like what's the priority, what's the deadline, whether the ticket is open or it's already closed. Again, similar to task, we have two chat box, one with client and one with team. Again, files attachment and everything, very similar to how tasks work, but it's just a different way for both clients and like in agencies to flag something that is very important, because it's also shown in dashboard, like at the forefront. So either as an agency owner or as a client, whenever they log in, this like one of the first things they're going to see. So that is the important of it.
So this way,
Team is fairly,
this way they're even getting rid of other third-party task management tools, right? Let's say if they don't want to use Asana or any other thing, they
yeah,
want to do small task management, like just assign,
yeah.
see what's there, and not be sophisticated about their whole experience. Then I think this even replaces that, because a lot of times clients don't want to get involved in many tools when they're, I think, working with agencies. They want everything at one place. So I think this can be helpful for them.
True. And to be honest, like as I was saying, I have a different product that's in the project management space. So in that we have like hundreds of other stuff, like your basic time tracking to a timesheet to Gantt charts and whatnot. Uh,
Mhm.
if we want, we can slowly introduce those stuff in agency handy as well. This sort of like just saying, because one or two of the agency owners have already asked me saying if we can make the task management a bit more like robust with a bit more features. That can be very easily done, because honestly we have all those other features built in another solution. So yeah, like if that is like heavily requested, something we might be able to look down in the future, because
So
but
that
as
so
Karan
that's
said,
so
like
that's a teaser. So that's a teaser. I think I would consider this as a
yeah.
teaser to the upcoming features. Or so
Will
cool.
that be included in the lifetime deal currently, the future updates, or is that like an add-on later, the
The
features?
only add-on, yeah, the own no features will be like included. All these features will be included in lifetime deal. The only difference between lifetime deal in terms of feature is workspace. So as we came to that, I'll just showcase from here. So the idea of workspace is this is just being very very annoying. I don't know, man. This is annoying. So anyway, I'll just showcase from here. This is fine. So the idea is that uh, quite a few of our customers have like different work weeks, right? They have like they are, I'd say, what, digital marketing agency, then they have like design component, then they have like SEO component, and they want to keep this stream separate. So this is where the our idea of workspace come in. You basically switch between different workspaces. You create, if you want, you can create new workspace as well. So as an agency owner, you have that option to creating multiple workspaces as well. So this multiple workspace feature, what enables you is you create one workspace, and for each of this workspace, all the other customization, like setting up your custom domains and all those other things, those are like will be there for each workspace. So you, if you have 10 workspaces, you can set up 10 different custom domains with 10 different cnames and other stuff, right? So you'll have access to that. This one feature is only available in our tier 3 plan. This won't be available in other plans, but other than that, every other feature that we do will be available in every right. So this is fairly simple. I don't think there's a lot to like showcase here. If you're just inviting people, we have like four roles right now. So in assignee, you get like very minimal access. They will only see the task that they are assigned to. In manager, they get details of the order, like that they are a part of. Admin, they get access to most of the stuff, and super admin, they get access to everything. Right. So it's still a bit rigid. Maybe somewhere down the line we'll make it custom, but probably will take a bit of time for that. Then you have invoices. So if you are sending someone an invoice, right, probably you are manually creating that order. Like 7 days later or 15 days later, you are sending them invoice. This is what an invoice would look like. Although we are changing this like UI completely, probably 1st April or 2nd April, the new UI will be live. So it will have a bit of other stuff. So for example, right now it is only for a client and a particular order. You get all the details. So right now, one of the things that we heard from people is that once you put in the order name, all the other stuff should be filled. That was a bit of an issue, and this is why we are sort of like redesigning stuff. And once that redesign is done, it will be okay. So for example, once you put in like this is the order ID, like client details and like the amount and everything will be filled out. You can obviously read it down the line as well. And also the other thing that we're giving you is we are letting you add more items on top of it. So for example, you might they might have you might have done something a bit more, like maybe a consultancy or something that wasn't included in the initial order, but this is something that you did once, like you get to work. So you'll also have the option to customize this a bit more as well. So once you once you create an invoice, this is what an invoice. I just wanted to show the preview of this as well. So this is what an invoice would look like on a client end. So like an invoice, due date, like logos and everything. The only difference is they will have an option. They will get a button called Pay Now. So once we have right now only Stripe. Uh, PayPal, it should have been, honestly, I'm really sorry, like, and I've been saying this for a while that this will be live next week, I know, but it is not anything on our end. It's just been like people's authentication and approval process has been like it's been taking a month for us to get that approval,
No,
but we are very
yeah,
close. They have
you're
already.
not alone. You're not alone in
Yeah.
PayPal's stuff,
Yeah.
man. They're assholes. They keep your money for no reason. You have to request them, beg them to, hey, pay us some money, man. Like that's the problem with
Yeah,
PayPal, and I think Joe would agree with it.
yeah, I've seen a lot of people like saying a lot of bad stuff about people on Twitter. So yeah. So basically, anyway, I was digressing. So anyway, the only difference on a client side of things is they get a button called Pay Now from here. So like it's just once you have payment link integrated, they can just click on that Pay Now and then they can pay for the invoice directly. We are also giving you option to sort of like give a manual bank payment. That is not a fancy feature or anything. It's just a bit of handy features that if you are getting payments like wire transfer or direct bank payments, instead of just showing that, we'll just email you all the bank details and everything with the invoice. So once you pay, the agency can manually update the invoice status as well. So yeah, roughly this is invoice files. Basically, for every order, we automatically create a folder for you, right? So we'll have for every order, we'll have a folder for you. If you share different files across, I'm not sure if any of this have files in it. So if you share different files or anything across the company, so it can be like, while taking intake form, it can be for each of the tasks or anywhere, all those will be like, stored here under each of the folders. So it's not really like you can upload anything here. The idea of this file section is basically to help you organize a bit of the stuff, right? Because you'll have files scattered over all around different orders, different tasks. So this just helps you like, organize all those sort of stuff. So lastly, we come to configuration. So from start, we have added a ton of stuff when it comes to configuration. So when we launched in Rocket Hub, we just had like, the logo, and I would say like, workspace name, and like, just domain. That was it. So right now we have introduced things like Fabicon. You can also introduce your time zone here as well, address and other stuff. In appearance, we had like two colors. We are also giving you like, four different ways you can customize your colors in domain. You have the option to set up your custom domain, as like pretty simple. And this is true for all the workspaces you'll have. So again, as I said, if you have 10 different workspaces, you can set up 10 different custom domains. Then you have sign in portal. So basically the idea is that, and this is where uh, I think a lot of people might be using SPP as well. So what SPP, for example, does is that they'll say this is my label and everything, but they'll also always show powered by SPP unless you buy their $1,500 package a month, right? So but we don't do that. We have nowhere it will say agency handy. And even from the sign in page, you can put in your own headline, different text, like images, everything is on you. However you want to design that, starting from the sign in page, whatever journey you want your customer to go through. The second layer of this customization that we didn't used to have and we launched lately is basically setting up your custom email. So we used to send every email from agencyhandy.com, right? Support at agencyhandy.com. But we realize it that sort of defeats the purpose of your like, white labeling and like, your custom branding. So now you have everything like, you have your SMTP, SPF, and DKIM, all those sort of stuffs to make sure you set up your own email address, so that every email that you send to your customer, to your like, team members or whoever it is, you send from your own email. And also we let you build those email out as well. Like, you have the option to basically, we have variables and other stuff, so you can create whatever email you want. You can add your social links and everything. So every email that you send is basically, it will look like, you have handcrafted, because you are handcrafting this email for all of your for your clientele basically. So in that, I would say we have like most of the stuff covered: sign up, proposal, review, ticket, order. There might be like, nuance stuff that we haven't covered. If there is, feel free to just like, let us know on our support. We are very like, responsive in that regard.
Hey.
And lastly, in terms of a dashboard, sorry.
Oh yeah, just Rabin was. I was wondering if the system has the process to complete a cycle for a customer, such as select product, payments, invoices, project processing, and project completion. Yeah, basically like an all-in-one.
That is honestly, that is the goal. The idea is that once you get an order from your client and up until the fulfillment and getting paid, you should not require to use any other solution. So that is the goal we want to get. We have kept the, I would say, like, task management sort of stuff a bit simple. And that was honestly by design. As I said, like, we could have added more, but from our experience, what you've seen is, unless you are a dev team and like tech team, most people tend to end up using just like, your basic stuff, like, basically people want to manage deadlines, make sure that, deadlines are being met, and also whatever you are putting in front of client, the clients are accepting it. So this is why we just kept client review and deadline, I would say, like, deadline management and people
Yeah.
management into that. we can add like newer stuff. So last thing is on dashboard. The dashboard we have also kept fairly simple. So as I said, like all the recent tickets, open tickets are going to be there. You get an idea of like different data points like w- how much money you have made in like over different. We have just if you add more currency, the currencies will be shown here. It's sort of like a breakdown how much money you have made over a progressively over a last 4 to 6 months period, and then the recent orders. What are the recent orders that are like up and coming? Just so that you have an idea of like what are status of each order. We're thinking about introducing a few more analytics like order progress because we track task progress. We have the data of like how much progress an order has been made. So we might introduce that. It's not that difficult, but we kept it very simple so that like users can give us idea in terms of like okay, we want to see this and this data points. We can easily showcase those data points. It's not that difficult. The last thing is we have a few languages. We have 7 languages up until now. I think even today someone asked for Czech, so we'll probably introduce that by Monday. But, like it's more on whatever is required, whatever is asked by people. Then because the structure is ready, it takes us like 1 or 2 days for just to introduce a new language. So language in general that is it. So if you have any queries, just like give us a message on a support chat right
So
here.
languages can
So yeah,
be added as you get more users. If there's a use case, a user comes along and they want Croatian, and you say, "Yeah, we could work on
yeah,
that." You could customize it for that user, I guess.
yeah. Basically, honestly, uh, I would say once you have 2 languages, the rest is pretty simple. Is just you have to build that JSON out to make sure that it's at that point of time it's just like convert all it's just translating with ChatGPT and just like putting it there. It is as honestly it's
Don't
that
tell the
simple.
users it's too easy. They're gonna ask you for everything. Then they say, "Oh, you said it was easy. We want
Yeah.
this now. Come over here." And you know,
They're gonna ask that anyway. I've like from my experience, I've seen like they're gonna ask that anyway. So like no better
you
just
got to say, "All right, it's gonna be very difficult. It might take some time." And then when you deliver in 2 days, they're like, "Wow, you're the best, Rashik. We love you."
yeah. So I'd say like that is roughly it in when it comes to like agency handy in terms of where we are at right now.
Oh, here's Rabin. Thanks. So I can only surface the tasks I want the client to see. Is it granular?
It is not granular, I won't say, because as I said, like, we've kept it simple. Like, we have had a few people asking, like, if they can create, like, subtask and, like, layers to it. We haven't introduced that. This is something that we can easily introduce if we want. But honestly, not enough people has asked for it. But it's just simple task management as of right
Okay.
now.
Okay, I have one question. It's from like another group, but this is like a use case which many of people, many of our individuals or agencies might have, or they might ask you. So the use case is that I'm just quoting as I speak. We need a platform that caters different clients and assign VAs to each of those clients. But that should not be limited to just VAs. They can also add other service providers such as video editors, graphic designers, etc. Can this be done?
Um, It can be done, like, it can be done. It's not that difficult in thing. For example, we have a lot of people who are already like, giving access to like freelancers. So just if I showcase here, this is when we
Hmm.
like, created this team, we kept a like role called assignee. So the idea of assignee is that assignees only see the task that they're assigned to. So this is because it was keeping in mind that a lot of these people will have freelancers and VAs going to work for it, and they don't want to give them access to anything beyond like what they're assigned to, and that makes sense, right? So what they can easily do is just add those VAs as assignees, and once they create a task, they add those assignees, but they also have like editors and other stuff, add them as managers and stuff. So you can add multiple people, you can add assign multiple people to layers of it, but I won't say it is to that extent. For example, even in our task management where we have like some people is doing this, then some people are reviewing this, then some people like there is a like layer to it. We haven't done that like layering into it, right? But you can add assign two, three different peoples into a task, making sure whatever the VA is doing, the like video editor is also looking after making sure this being done, and then to back and forth client conversation.
Okay, that's awesome. Uh, I think what's requested is another thing, which is integrations, right? I think webhooks is
Yeah.
present, are present. So what else? Let's say the Pabbly Connect and API. Like when can we expect to have them? You know.
Right. So honestly, our idea was that we wanted to get to custom order as quickly as possible. Honestly, not really. We wanted to get to affiliates as quickly as possible. So till affiliate management. So we are right now working on subscription management, because we have in orders, we have task and everything. So the way our subscription would work is like it will basically reset every order, not reset but like regenerate every order, making sure the deadlines and everything be met. Once this is done, we go to custom order, and then the next thing is affiliate. The way we think about integration is with every sprint, we'll try to launch one or two new integrations as we go for. So, for example, for next week, we're thinking of PayPal if they finally give us access. Then next week, Payoneer, Paddle. We want to get, because in our case, I would say 90% of the requests have been just payment gateways, and we understand because that's incredibly crucial. The target is honestly by May to have almost all the crucial new things like Zapier and Pabbly, things that are very
Good.
important to our client base, to have all those things ready.
Manoj, user queue, that's another popular one in your space. So I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that tool, if you could
yeah.
Use yeah,
compare
use Q.
anyway.
So I think in terms of comparison, there's a lot of like when people say about comparison, I think like most people expect this to be this is I have feature X, they have X, and but I think you have to think more from an approach point of view. I think this is something that it's also fundamental in terms of how you want to use this. So just 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 to give you an idea, right? So obviously a lot of nuance to it, but just to give you an idea, the way UseQ doesn't works with an order. So they would take an order, they would put you once you create a task, for each task they ask clients to these are the different stuff you can give us all this detail for us to do this specific stuff. So that can be you're doing an SEO optimized article, right? This is the order you're doing. For each article you can get customer very specific set of requirements for from customer. The way we thought about it is that that would be a lot of work, although that sounds good, but I don't think for an agency that's really doable to get instruction for each of the task, and then following up. It will make sure that you end up spending more time on the software than the work itself. So the way we think about that is you set it up once, and then you have options to go through customer conversation and chat and everything. So if you have anything specific you can take from here. So in that, the approach is significantly different. The way we are thinking about subscription would be a bit different. So the way, once you create an order, right, you have 10 tasks with different deadlines and all those sort of set. The way we are thinking about subscription is whenever that's renewed, all the tasks gets renewed as well, with specific deadlines, with specific assigning to specific people, so that you set up once. In going forward you don't have to. The next thing is, once we have that order form, like as I was saying, is it lets you create add-ons. So once you are going through the self checkout process, you'll also see okay, fine, people are also taking this. You can also you'll be able to group your services as well, so that those groups you'll also be able to push clients to also showcase people are also buying this, people are also buying that. You'll be able to upsell that a lot more. So I would say our focus is a lot more in terms of that client onboarding phase. UseQ does a bit, I would say, better work when it comes to especially uh, getting feedback on specific work they've done. So for example, because I'll be just absolutely honest, I don't want to mislead anyone here. So for example, in our task, once you create an adjustment, you have to go in the comment section and give the comment. In UseQ, it is more like doing it on, it's a word, Google Doc. Like you can just specify particular stuff and say this is the comment that I have. And lastly, we already have this dashboard, and we are going to increase the analytics on dashboard a lot more. And that's something you used to don't have. They're saying that they are going to. I have not seen if they have brought up a new proposal platform or anything, but we already have something like that. So I'd say when it comes to actually onboarding client, the process is a lot simpler. It on an agency end, it gives you a lot more flexibility with proposal, upselling, and other stuff. And also, like with dashboard and everything, you get a lot more flexibility. If you are if you're going to micromanage a lot more, like go a bit more detail, you have important in terms of client feedback in each of the files, or like you want clients to give instruction for each task individually, probably USQ might be a better fit for you. But anything else, I would say like an agency would be a pretty good fit.
Is there a dark mode? They love dark mode.
Okay. We don't have a dark mode yet. We are thinking about it, but it's just like there's so many features that we need we need to launch as sort of got
That
delayed
one's
in
not
in
as
terms.
easy, right? The dark mode is not as easy.
Yeah.
Languages, we're in a world where languages, no problem. Dark mode, eh?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, dark mode is not that easy. I think
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people think because we have so much color, especially when we are letting users do their own colors and stuff, it becomes even more trickier, right? So like we thought about it, but then we realized like a lot of times it does design won't make sense at all. So we'll probably have to think about it from scratch.
It's pretty wild though. Like, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
users that they're fascinated by the dark mode. You know, I like it too
right. Yeah,
as well sometimes, but I've never not purchased a tool because it doesn't have dark mode. Because there's great tools out there, they don't have it, and it works perfectly great. But they'll buy something maybe less superior, and it has dark mode, so they're happy. Just turn
Yeah,
off your monitor. That's
I
all.
saw.
yeah.
Use the brightness
I
on the
saw it in one comparison. I saw it in one comparison where they had the table and they had a line item known as dark mode, and they had yes and then no on the other one. I'm like, what? You're comparing dark mode.
That's probably the biggest request most founders get. You know, where is dark mode? Is it on the
Oh,
roadmap? That's funny. Oh, we lost your video. Might be the internet.
no, no, just give me 1 second.
No problem.
I
Hey,
don't.
you're in dark mode.
Yeah, I am in dark mode right now.
Let's see.
All right, let's see what else. Otherwise, everyone here who is watching it, just type Joe in the chat box. You would know you're here.
Yeah, we got a giveaway. Rabin's buying lunch tomorrow for everybody because if you ever follow him on Facebook, he takes some of the greatest photos of food, dishes, and I'm over here with a tuna fish sandwich, you know, at the deli.
Yeah. So yeah, he is great. Cool. So let's see if you have other questions, or else then we can, give the last statements, ending statements. Rashik, anything you want to say to people out here, and then we can like announce the discount which we gave specifically for eggheads.
And how long is the deal going to be up for on Rocket Hub
The deal is ending this Sunday.
this Sunday? Okay.
I think like for us, honestly, we're not like VC backed or anything, but it's more of like a lot of people coming together with a lot of expertise as well. So we have in our team, most people have worked in previous SaaS, or most people have been in their agencies for a good few years. So yeah, it's uh, it's sort of like it is where we are at. And in most cases, the people that have come onto the software, and like people, we have really loved like people who have been our customers over last month or so, because they have, I would say, like they have helped us build a even a better software as well. The way we operate is we tend to get to people within like a few hours. That's preferably our timeline. In some cases, if the timelines don't match, like if someone is like tech, because it's we are from like a different part of the world, and I would say 60-70% of our users are from North America. So at times it can like get delayed a bit, but other than that, yeah, we listen to our customers a lot. So yeah. If you come on board, I'm sure you guys won't regret it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing. Cool. So, Rashik, thank you so much. Joe, have you have anything to say?
Let's see. Rabin has something to say. You can ask for lunch anytime. No, for lunch for everybody, right? We're celebrating agency handy. Yeah. I just want to thank you, Rashik, for answering questions, going through the tool. Looks good. And Karan, as usual, Rocket Hub, you're like one of the hardest working LTD, guys out there. Your brand's great, and good
Thank you.
luck, agency handy. And it seems like this support is good. So if you have any questions, just contact Rashik, right?
Yeah. A lot of
Yep.
people have just ignored the live chat and just send me a message on WhatsApp, Facebook directly. Completely fine. If you have 1 second, I just wanted to show this one stuff that I couldn't because of the
Yeah, of
internet
course.
connection back then. Yeah, sure. So this is what a
Yeah, sure.
catalog
And
would
also
look
let
like.
everyone know like what's coming next, right? Let's say what's going to happen in
Right.
the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
six
yeah. So
months. Like just a summary of its
yeah,
roadmap, So
okay, sure. So this is the patch that was not loading before. So this is what a catalog look like. If you if you like a service, you click on purchase. This is what you go through a whole payment gateway. I'll just put in whatever details. Uh, Once you go through the details, it goes through self checkout process, and this is where our additional other stuff will come in. So once we have order from, so instead of coming here, you will get an option. There will be a page rec, then you'll see people are also buying this and this. So instead of making a customer paying $100, you can probably end up making people $1,000 a year as well. So this is what it would look like from a customer side of view once you share this as a catalog. So they'll see all the details, and they'll see what the price, what the duration, and all that stuff. So this is something that I couldn't show because of the internet. So I just wanted to showcase here, right? So yeah, in terms of what we have coming up, so the first thing is on the recurring service that I've already told you about. So if you have and most of products have retainer clients, what we'll end up doing is you set up order and invoice once. That is it. And at the end of every month, every quarter, whatever that billing cycle looks like, it will be automatically regenerated with tasks. If you create a task, say on day one, you have created 4 tasks on 7th, 12, 14, 21, and 28. On the next month, the task will automatically be created with those deadlines, with people that were already assigned and everything. So you set it up once, everything will be set up then it's custom order. Then you will have affiliate management. So you can turn your clients into affiliates as well, so you can give them as affiliates. You can set up specific coupon codes for probably a holiday discount or a new year discount, whatever that is. Then we have a bunch of integrations planned out. So these are, I would say, the core sort of stuff. So once this is done, then we'll move into a few more stuff, interesting stuff that we wanted to introduce. So I think someone already asked about HRM functions, so we'll probably look into making the teams even more customizable. The other thing that we really want to do, and it will take a bit of time, this is why we're probably pushing it a bit, is provide templates. So the idea is that not everyone should come into the same platform. Like if you're an AC agency, if you're a digital marketing, if you're a video agency, we have an understanding of what different agencies require, because right now we have clients from each sector. So we want to create templates, and the templates will not be just for your portal. It will also be for your client, but also for things like forms, proposals. You will have a bunch of templates to play around with it. So, and that is where obviously AI comes into the question as well, to help you make those templates as lucrative as possible. So these are things more like next quarter where we're looking at. But I think up and coming in next 2 months, the thing that I've already mentioned going forward is templates and a lot of integrations and AI is where we are looking at.
Sounds good.
oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, that's good.
A lot of customizations. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So thanks, Rashik. Thanks, Joel, and thanks all the eggheads to join today. Yep. So I think I'm done. Uh, so let's wrap it up,
Alright.
and we can then. Rashik, thank you so much for your time. And now it's your time to. I think you cannot eat right now, but I go and spend time with your family. Happy Ramadan.
Yeah.
So yeah. See you.
Happy Ramadan.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay,
Take
bye.
care.
Bye, everybody.
All right,
Thanks.
folks.